How's it going? David from Comic Book Investments. So in this video, we're going to look at 5 keys that are dropping in price. Yes, dropping by quite a lot. And actually, I'm going to do something a little different. Normally, I would give you guys 3 grade ranges to kind of see what's going on, more than just one grade. But I'm going to do something a little different because the whole point is just to show you guys kind of what's going on with the book and what's going on with the market. So I'm gonna try this. Let me know what you guys think. Also, if you guys want to help out the channel, in every single video I make, in the link, there's a link down below. It's an eBay link. So if you ever buy anything on eBay, it doesn't have to be comics. It can literally just be toilet paper, computers. It could be a desk. Doesn't matter. Just click the link before you buy the stuff, and it helps give me a little money. And then take some of that money and then do those giveaways that I always do, like every quarter. So yes, that just helps me out. So if you guys just want to click the link down below before you get anything on eBay, it just helps out. It doesn't cost you a dime. All right, let's get right into it. All right, first up is we got Young Avengers #1. So normally what I do is I do 3 grades, but this one I'm going to do, the top one is going to be the peak ever. Then the next one will be the very beginning of the year, what it was selling for at its peak in January, and then one about halfway in between, so it'll be about May. All right, so first we got at its peak a Young Avengers #1 and a 9.8 back in 2021 is when it peaked. It sold for about $15.95 and now sells for $300. That is down 81%. Wow, it is down pretty much below what it was before the comic boom. But then in January, it was selling for a high of $485. That is down 38%. And then in May, it's selling for $442, so down 32%. And obviously currently it's selling for $300, so not too much of a drop between January and May, but definitely from May till now, it's continuing to drop even faster. So as you can see, it's dropping quite a bit down. I still think there's room to drop. I'm looking at this graph. It doesn't really show any signs of slowing down because if you go from beginning of the year to about May, which is halfway from now, roughly, you're looking at, still dropping by, 32% in between that time. And, between May, so actually from January to May, it looks like it only dropped about 10%. Sorry. It looks like it dropped 10%, but from its current price, it's dropped 32%. So actually it looks like it's kind of speeding up a little bit. So I think there's a little bit of hope that something was going to happen. But the thing is, I don't ever see this book coming back to 1600 in a 9.8, like pretty much ever. At least I'm just going to say 10 years. I don't even think it will come back in 10 years, but I'm just going to go 10 years out. It's not going to be 1600. Even if a bunch of things go right, I think a lot of people are kind of like wising up to the hype train that happens when movies and things come out. So I still don't think much is going to happen, even if they come out with some Young Avengers movie or something like that, which I don't think they will. But yeah, it's just too common of a book to ever see 1600 ever again. All right, next we got Batman Beyond #1. It peaked back in 2022 and a 9.8. And it peaked at $28.95 and now currently sits at about $1,500. That is down 48% from its peak. In January, it peaked at $19.36 and that's down 23%. And then in May, it peaked at $18.90 and that is down 20%. So it looks like this book is kind of leveled off a little bit. So from January to May, it's barely even went down. It pretty much stayed the same. And as you can see in the graph, it's kind of like this. So you have peaks and valleys and peaks. So but overall, it's pretty much leveled out. Yeah, since May, it's dropped down about 20%. But again, if you look at the graph, it's kind of like this. So it's not really declining. It's just kind of staying straight. So then wherever you hit the points, like next month, all of a sudden one could sell for like, probably like $17.50 or something like that. So it's kind of just like all over the place, but it looks like it's pretty much flatlined, slight down, slight dip, I would say. But overall, I think for this book, I mean, anything could really happen. I think there's a lot of people holding on hope that, there'll be a Batman Beyond movie, which they should do, by the way. But overall, I think this is kind of hitting that flat point, but anything could happen. It could dip back down again. All right, next we got Incredible Hulk 271. This is the first appearance of Rocket Raccoon outside of the magazine, first appearance. Back in 2022, it peaked at 1,800 and now currently sits at 960. That's down 47%. Back in January, since the beginning of the year, it peaked at 1049, so that's down only 8%. And then in May, one peaked at 1150, so that actually kind of went up from January, and that is down at 17%. So this book is pretty much flatlined. As you can see, its peak was 1,800. It's about 50% drop from its peak. But in January, it was 1049. And then in May, it peaked at 1150. So technically from January to May, it kind of went up a little bit. But that's just going like this, right? Someone pays a little more, someone pays a little less that month, things like that. Overall, it's down from May, it's down 17%. But it's just kind of like this. So I believe that this book at its current state is kind of been flat for pretty much the beginning of the year. So I've said multiple times in these videos, multiple videos, that I think the worst is behind us, and I still stand by that. And I feel like, and I even said at the beginning of the year, is this going to be like this? That was my prediction of the year, was just kind of like this, maybe some going slightly down, some going slightly up, but the worst is behind us. And a lot of books that follow that trend, obviously there's going to be books that were, they had no legs to stand on to begin with, like that Young Avengers, but books that have a little more legs, a little more things going on with it, and didn't go up astronomical, just ridiculous. Like that Young Avengers pretty much went up like 5x in a few months. That's ridiculous. So it's been pretty much flat, and I expect it to stay around that. Like you're going to have some downs, you're going to have some ups, but I feel like it's going to stay somewhere around this range for at least a while. I think 2024 will be a turnaround year, not just in comics, but I think as the economy as a whole. When in 2024? Probably later in 2024. But I think in between that time, from where we pretty much towards the end of 2023, for the next year, so towards like September 2024, I think will be turnaround. For the next year, I think is a little unknown, but I feel like it's going to be pretty much like flat. All right, next we got X Factor number 6. This is the first full appearance of Apocalypse. It peaked back in 2022 for $800. It is now selling for $331. Now it's down 60%. In the beginning of the year, it was selling for $426 for a 9.8 as well, and that is down 22%. And then in May, it was selling for a peak of $381, so it's down 13%. So still a little bit of dropping on this book. I feel like it could probably drop a little bit more, but it has been slowing. The drop has been slowing. It's not speeding up. It's coming down to almost a crawl, just a slow jog at this point. So I feel like it still has room to drop a little bit more, in my opinion. But I feel like if we redo this, so we're in September, it's 331. So I feel like if we do this into 6 months, so I don't know, somewhere in February, March or something like that, I feel like if it's around 331 now, it would probably be the high 2s to even the low 3s. So anywhere from like 280 to probably like 310. All right. Last on the list, we got a major key here, is Avengers number 1. I tried to go with the most common grade, the most ones sold in for this book, and that was at a 4.5. That had the most volume. It peaked back in 2022 for 7,500, which is a crazy amount. Now down 45%, for now selling for 4,100. In the beginning of the year, it was peaking around $5,050. That is down 19% from then. And in May, it peaked at $3,850 and one sold for $4,100. So it's actually up 6%. So as you can see with this one, $7,500. That was kind of like a one-off, and that kind of happens in these books, these more rare books. Someone bought it for $7,500. It's down 45% from its peak, which is compared to the other books on this list. As you can see, like those more modern, plentiful books, like the Young Avengers, where there's just a ton of them, they're going to have way bigger swings. So obviously it went up 5x. Avengers 1 didn't go up 5x, but then also is down by 80%. It's probably going to be hitting 90% here pretty soon, down from its peak, which is crazy. So this is down 45% from its peak. So it's not too much, not too bad. A lot of other things got hit a lot harder outside of comics, including. And then obviously the beginning of the year, it was hitting around 5,000. So it's down 19% from the beginning of the year. From the very beginning of the year, at its peak, it's down 19%, which isn't that bad. So we're about, 9 months into the year. So 9 months, it's dropped by like 19%. But since May, it is up 6%. So, like I said, the worst is behind us. Again, it's going to be like this. They don't sell that often, but when they do, so someone can pay a lot, someone can get a good deal in an auction or something, whatever. So it's going to be a little up and down. So I think, like I said previously, it's just going to be like this. You're going to have some selling for like probably $4,500 one month. Next month, be selling for like $3,500. And it's just going to kind of sit in that range for probably a good 12 months. That is it. If you like this style, I kind of enjoyed it. The only downside on like a Young Avengers, it's like there's no point in showing you a 9.6 and a 9.4. Who cares? It doesn't really matter that much in those types of books. But in something like an Avengers, like showing you different ranges, like a 6.5, 4.5, an 8.0, a 2.0, stuff like that, you can kind of see what's going on. I kind of like this probably because it's just new and different and it gives me more to talk about and show different examples. So let me know in the comments below if you like this kind of stuff. If you want this way, maybe I'll alternate. I'll probably, do this sometimes, do the other way sometimes. We'll see. Have a good weekend.